Alright, so look, I'm here to talk about something that might actually fix a big mess. Ubisoft has been going through it, right? I mean, we've all seen the headlines. They've had some rough releases lately that just didn't hit the way everyone hoped they would, plus some financial stuff that got pretty messy. It's no secret they've been under a ton of pressure, with their stock price dropping pretty hard. And to make things worse, even Assassin's Creed Shadows didn't land as the big slam dunk they needed to get back on track. So the pressure is definitely on. But here's the kicker, they just pulled a card that might actually be a genius move. It's like they're looking at a losing hand in poker and then slamming down a royal flush out of nowhere. The move is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag Resynced. And believe it or not, this remake isn't just a nostalgia trip. It actually feels like a potential lifeline. I'm not even kidding, it could be the thing that steadies the whole ship. Why? Because it checks every single box for what Ubisoft needs right now, which is a win people actually care about. And the best part is, they seem to know it. This isn't them just throwing a fan favorite at us to shut us up. This is them grabbing their biggest classic and asking it to carry the company on its back. It arrives smack in the middle of a rough financial stretch, so the game feels way bigger than just the product on the box. So let's get into why this specific game, this specific remake, matters so much right now. Okay, so with a ton of remakes floating around, why Black Flag? That's a fair question because Ubisoft has a lot of IP. But you gotta look at the library. While other games are great, none of them have the specific flavor of Black Flag. That game is remembered for one main thing, the pirate fantasy. Sailing the open seas, singing shanties, and spotting enemy galleons on the horizon. That vibe has a strong identity that's super easy to market compared to some of the other entries. So if Ubisoft was gonna lean on nostalgia to get people hyped, this is the one game that actually makes sense. It has a built-in audience that is massive too. We are talking about a game that reached over 34 million players originally. That is a ton of people already ready to jump back in. Plus, it's a safer bet than cooking up a brand new idea from scratch right now. Given the current situation, a risky new IP is scary. But Resynced has the advantage of being a known quantity. People love the world, the music, and the vibe. That trust is worth gold when you've had a few misses. So them focusing on this specific title feels less like a gamble and more like a calculated, smart decision. Now let's get into the business logic here because it's actually kind of smart. When a company is stressed about money and investor trust, you don't swing for the fences with something totally untested. You go back to what worked. And in Ubisoft's case, they are using a known name while promising something fresh. This is the kind of move companies make when they absolutely cannot afford another miss. They need a win that people buy in huge numbers and they need it now. Remaking Black Flag gives them that safety net. It has the brand recognition, the nostalgic pull, and it can generate hype way faster than a brand new, untested IP. And frankly, after a rough year with lower net bookings and even a reported net loss, they need the stability. It's not just about making good art. It's about keeping the lights on and showing investors that Ubisoft still knows how to handle its strongest brands. A focused remake is a much smaller risk than an overambitious new direction that might alienate old fans. In a weird way, choosing to do Resynced is a sign that they are playing it smart. They are leaning into the sure thing instead of trying to reinvent the wheel when the engine is sputtering. Alright, so what exactly is this Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced thing they are selling? Because it's definitely not just a simple upscale. They've been super clear that this is a fully rebuilt experience, and Ubisoft Singapore is leading the charge, and they rebuilt the entire game from scratch on the newest version of the Anvil engine. This isn't being sold to us as a simple touch-up with a new coat of paint. They are treating it like a full, proper rebuild. The Caribbean world is getting a massive visual upgrade with high-res textures, modern lighting, and a new dynamic weather system that will make the storms feel legit terrifying. We're talking ray tracing, high-res textures, all that good stuff, plus they are actually adding new stuff to do. And get this, there is a whole 6 hours of new story content written by the original writer Darby McDevitt, which is kinda huge. That means we get the old stuff we love, plus fresh narrative arcs involving our favorites like Blackbeard and Steed Bonnet. They aren't just relying on one big upgrade, they are stacking smaller ones everywhere, from the visuals to the script. And beyond the added content, what still makes the game stand out is how effortlessly it sells the pirate fantasy. It just works. Very few open world games let you feel like a pirate captain in a way that actually sticks with you after you turn the console off. There is something special about leaving a port, hearing the crew sing "Leave Her Johnny," and heading off to find treasure. That vibe was super unique back in 2013, and honestly, it still feels fresh today because nobody else is really doing it like this. I mean, there are pirate games out there, sure, but none of them mix the assassin movement with the naval warfare and exploration the way Black Flag does. Compared to a lot of the heavy, grindy RPGs out now, Black Flag is breezier. It's focused. You're not worrying about a billion different loot stats. You're just worried about whether your cannons are upgraded enough to sink that man of war. That simplicity is actually a huge selling point right now. Gamers are tired of every game needing to be a 100-hour commitment with crafting and XP bars. Sometimes you just want to swing on a rope and fire a pistol. And that being said, let's talk about the meat and potatoes, the combat. The old game had the fantasy nailed, but let's be real, the sword swinging was a bit clunky by today's standards. It was very much a product of its time where you mostly just waited to counter. That's why I'm stoked for the remake. They are trying to give it cleaner, more hands-on combat. They've rebuilt the fighting to be way more action-oriented. It's faster, more fluid, and relies heavily on precise parries. You'll be able to dual-wield swords and pistols, which just feels right. But the cool part, they are adding in chain takedowns. So if you nail that perfect parry, you can take out up to 4 dudes in a row. That makes you feel like an actual deadly assassin instead of just a guy who blocks and stabs. They've also improved the stealth, adding a crouch button and a new Observe mode, which is just a straight buff to eagle vision. And here's the kicker. They reworked those annoying tailing missions. You know the ones. Now if you mess up, the target reacts, but you don't just instantly desync and restart. Thank goodness, that alone is worth the price of admission. But you know the real reason we are all here. It isn't the sword play on land, it's the ship battles. The moment the sea fights get going, this is still one of the easiest games in the series to recognize. The Jackdaw is the star of the show, so naturally they are beefing it up. In Resynced, the Jackdaw is more powerful than ever. We are talking heavier armor, larger broadside cannons, and faster reload times to just shred enemy hulls. They didn't stop there though. They added new secondary weapons like shrapnel barrels. Imagine sailing alongside a ship, dropping explosives in the water, and watching them shred the enemy's sails. It adds a layer of strategy beyond just clicking to shoot. Plus, you can recruit new officers for your crew who bring unique abilities to the ship, like one of them gives the Jackdaw a double shot for the main cannons. So yeah, that's why these sea fights are going to feel epic. Now the smartest thing here is that Ubisoft is not relying on one big upgrade. They're stacking smaller ones everywhere to give the game long-term value, like adding a ton of quality of life stuff that just makes the experience richer. For example, you can finally have a pet on your ship. You can choose between a cat or a monkey just chilling on the Jackdaw with you. It's a small thing, but it adds so much personality to the sailing. They're also adding a whole officer recruitment system. You can find folks like Lucy Baldwin or the Padre out in the world, do their quest lines, and bring them back to boost your naval stats. On top of that, they wrote 10 brand new sea shanties for the crew to sing. I don't know about you, but I can't wait to hear the new tracks while I'm hunting down treasure maps. It's the little details, the pets, the new shanties, the officer quests, that make this feel like a love letter to the original instead of a cheap cash grab. So, who actually is this game for? That's the best part. It's for literally everyone. If you played the original back in the day on PS3 or Xbox 360, you get a massive nostalgia hit, but with gameplay that doesn't feel ancient. You'll get to relive the story of Edward Kenway, but now it's smoother, prettier, and has 6 hours of extra content to make you fall in love with the characters again. It's a reunion tour for the veterans, but also though, this is a perfect entry point for new players. A lot of younger gamers might have missed the original because it came out over a decade ago. They are used to modern graphics and fast loading times, so going back to the original might feel rough. But this one will bridge that gap. It brings that classic story into the modern era. So for a kid who just finished Valhalla, this is a way to see where the franchise found its footing. The series' creative director even said it's a faithful, enriched experience, grounded in what we loved but built for today. It's a safe bet for a returning fan and a high-quality adventure for a newcomer. All that to say, if Ubisoft gets this right, Black Flag Resynced isn't just a safe release. It becomes proof that the company can still steer itself back on course. This is more than just a remake. This is a statement. It tells the industry and the players that Ubisoft remembers what made them great in the first place. They are cutting out the fluff, the weird multiplayer, and the bloated DLC, and just focusing on a solid single-player adventure. And the early signs are great. It's already topping pre-order charts in major markets. People are starving for this. If this lands well, it can rebuild trust. It shows that even when they are struggling, they can deliver high-quality, polished experiences. It compares pretty well to what Capcom did with the Resident Evil remakes. They took old classics, modernized them with respect, and turned their whole situation around. Ubisoft has the chance to do the same right here. So yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. If July 9th hits and the frame rate is solid and the parries feel sticky, Ubisoft might just have the win they've been looking for. But hey, this is just my take. What do you think? Is Black Flag actually going to save them, or is it going to be another letdown?